Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by #1 Air, the official HVAC and electric partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com.
We are live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Welcome to Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm Bobby Belt from 105.3 The Fan. We've got Kyle Yeomans from DallasCowboys.com. Joined as always by three-time Super Bowl champion and six-time Pro Bowler Nate Newton. There, he is there. He's excited. And our Cowboys legend this evening is also a UTEP minor legend. It is former Pro Bowler, former second-team All-Pro, Tony Tolbert.
Tony
How you doing there?
What's up, baby?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I need a little bit more energy just based off of what Nate was doing a moment ago. I need a little bit more from
I got you, man. I got you.
He's bringing us up. Now, I know, Nate, you've said before that this man right here is one of the guys who is really involved in helping you develop some really good work habits early on.
Yes, Tony Tolbert, man. Charles came to me. And Tony was always a workhorse. You know, he came in from UTEP. He was weighing 198 pounds, and as I got the weight right.
About right.
Yeah.
About right.
You know, he was weighing about 245, and they brought him in as a defensive end, so he had to gain about 25, 30 pounds. And but he's always been a guy that worked, watched what he had, and did what he had to do. But then when Charles Haley came in, they double-teamed me, and we used to come back after practice, and we would all work out, the stair-stepper, just all different type machines to get the cardio up. And, you know, very little lifting for Charles, but a lot for me and Tolbert.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's right about that. The big thing we want to do is not let Nate slip. And what I mean by slip, not get heavier. And we wanted to make sure that, we were behind him, trying to be positive reinforcements for him and stuff like that. And push him. And keep pushing him until he figured it out.
Yeah.
How big was the stair stepper that Nate was having to stay on at that point?
It was pretty big.
About like this, the steps about like that.
The steps were each of these tables
Yeah,
along the way.
boom, yeah, man.
But, they kept you off the asthma field.
Yeah,
that's what's important,
that's
right?
what's important,
Kept you off the asthma field. Now, we mentioned there in your bio, former Pro Bowler. Really quickly, I know we want to kick things off tonight. Kyle, we had at 7 o'clock tonight the NFL announced Pro Bowlers. And how many did the Dallas Cowboys score?
So starting things off, they have seven total Pro Bowlers. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Deron Bland, Zach Martin, Micah Parsons, Brandon Aubrey, and Brian Anger. So both
cool.
the kicker and the punter get in, and then really no surprise anywhere else. Great seasons for Dak and for CD. Right. Zach Martin is a perennial Pro Bowler, and then you've got Deron Bland breaking NFL history with the 5 pick sixes, 8 interceptions this year. And then Micah Parsons, of course, on the defensive side. Yeah. So great 7 for Pro Bowl so far, and it's not over yet. They can add some more along the way.
Absolutely. And I want to get you all's thoughts first off here, because what stands out to me there is 2 potential snubs we might be talking about. Mm-hmm. I hear no Tyron Smith. I hear no Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith, I thought, has been really, really good this year. I thought he's been their most consistent offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. Any issues with those 2 being left off here?
Well, I think Tyler Smith should be on there. Tyron, when you miss a certain amount of time, guys aren't going to put you on there because of the amount of time you miss. But the young man, 73, he deserved to be on there.
Absolutely. Nate?
Yeah, he's deserved to be on there, and I agree 100% what Tony said about our left tackle, our perennial left tackle.
Yeah, and it's something where, I know there's going to be some complaints about the Tyler Smith issue and the Tyron Smith thing, but like you say, the injury history with Tyron Smith and some of the time that he's missed here. I'm curious for you guys, there's been an adjustment this year with Tyron Smith to his practice schedule, where he's kind of get those Wednesday rest days. Sometimes he'll get Wednesday and Thursday. Did you guys ever have somebody that you guys played with or anything, this guy right here, that you felt
last 2 years in the league, they finally figured that out for him?
That you felt you had to stagger the practice schedule a little bit?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I practiced, just Thursday?
Yes.
And maybe even Friday sometime. It was just, at the time I had bad knees and things like that, and they would swell up. So they were like, you know what, let's save the reps from practice and, give them a chance to play the whole game. And they did a pretty good job of taking care of me near the end of my career.
Do you think that helped preserve you a little bit, helped get you to that
No,
Pro
I was
Bowl in
already
'96?
done. I was already done.
So
I was already broke up.
The Thursday only practices didn't help get you to the Pro Bowl in '96?
No, I was already done, bro.
Already wrapping that thing up.
Absolutely. So now one of the names there that we hear there, Dak Prescott makes, I believe that's his third Pro Bowl now. Just a really fantastic season from Dak. Has he tapped into a level? I know it was, I believe it was Mike Tannenbaum had the quote, or no, it was Randy Mueller, the former Dolphins GM this week, had said that when you watch a player like Dak kind of adjust and open up himself to new concepts this late in his career, that it really opens your eyes to, okay, what more could he potentially tap into? So I'm curious from the both of you, like, when you watch him play, does Dak look like, well, okay, he's reached a new level this year, but you can't rule out that he's got this other level that he could potentially get to?
Yeah, the thing about playing in Dallas is like being a Yankee or any of those Boston Celtic, Lakers.
Iconic teams.
Those iconic teams, there's so much from a fan base, the expectations to be successful. And, you look at the quarterback position. You had Roger, you had Troy. You don't want to, and I'm not trying to knock Danny White, but you don't want to be the guy that had great stats,
sure,
Romo or anybody like that, and then not get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. But I'm happy to see his adjustments, and that's the big thing. Can you adjust as you get older? Because sometimes your skills will decline. Are you willing to accept new information? And he's done a great job doing that so far.
I just love him because he went back to the future. He went back to Mississippi State, got his running back, his movement back, and that has been the biggest deal. I've always thought that he can run on offense, but I always thought that he needed to move around. And when about the third or fourth, fifth game of the year, he started moving around. And this last 4 weeks, it has paid off tremendously for him.
You talked about that earlier in the year. You wanted rookie Dak back.
Yes.
That was what you kept saying. It was
Yes.
2016 Dak, 2017 Dak. And I think it's a different level, to Tony's point a moment ago.
Yeah.
It's the mobility, but it's not a freelance. It's really a controlled mobility from Dak, where he's still scanning down the field. He's still able to move the ball outside of the pocket, buy some time, and then he's able to find these weapons downfield. It's helped having a CeeDee Lamb to throw the football to, no doubt about it, because if you do buy time to throw it downfield, you've got CD building separation at some point in his route. But it really has been impressive to see how he's adjusted, because he's not playing the same way as he did as a rookie, but he's utilizing some of the skill set and some of those same things to help him be successful.
The only difference is because he moved around at Mississippi State to help his receivers get open. He moved around. The only difference is now he understands instead of him making the second read by running around, he understands that sometimes he has to move around to get that second read.
Yeah.
And that is the difference. Before, like, even with Lamar, he understands now, 1, 2. Okay, 2, he needs a little time. Move around. And he's moving around with a purpose. Whereas as a rookie, he just moved around.
Well, isn't a lot of that timing as you go along,
sir.
too?
Yeah.
Yes,
Is that instinct of knowing the time clock? Because you talk about time in the pocket. You have a time clock as a quarterback that goes off in the back of your head that says, hey, I'm running out of time here. I've got to either move or throw the football, get it out of play.
Right.
Dak has that instinct, and you can see that in his play here in 23.
Yes, he's gained it back. Because if you go back to last year and the year before and you watch the film, Dak just standing there.
He stayed in the pocket.
Oh, my God. And I'm like, you're going to get hurt just standing there. And once he understood Coach McCarthy, it took him, 4 games to understand Coach McCarthy's offense in live color. Okay, once he got it down, he started moving around. And I'm telling you, go back and look at your film. These last 3 or 4 weeks, it ain't that and Lord knows I hate to say this, it ain't that our offensive line been playing great. It's that him and Tony Pollard has been playing great. Pollard has been a great blocker. He's been picking up blitzes. Dak has been spinning out, making plays. And CeeDee Lamb has been on fire. Jake Ferguson has been on fire. Hey, man, I hope we can continue this.
You know, it's funny. Dak is obviously taking a level up. I know one of the things that people talk about with Dak, though, is at times a criticism of his from national analysts, I guess, would be, you know, when you ask people to talk about Dak's game and what makes him so great, a lot of times one of the first things they'll say is, oh, the intangibles and the leadership and the character and everything else. And I think he's a talented passer in our boys, but people think of that almost as dinging him, where I remember Brandon Cooks had said something to the effect of, like, No, that tells you how valuable that is in that position. Is that we go to that first? Is because that matters a great deal. You'll go into a fire. You'll follow this guy into a fire.
Right.
Can you guys just talk about, for you specifically, the quarterback of the Cowboys in that position, how important the mental makeup and the intangibles and the leadership are to just being able to execute your job on the field?
Yeah, you have to have tough skin. You just think last year he had the 17 turnovers, and then everybody was questioning his ability, with the contract coming up and all of these other things, his health. And he had to go back and reinvent himself and make himself the quarterback that he used to be.
Right.
And coming, when you guys were talking about the scrambling deal, coming from a defensive lineman standpoint, that is the worst kind of quarterback that you have to rush against, because you never know where he's going to be. He extend plays, and it's very hard to rush the passer and figure out where he's going to be. And, of course, the longer you extend the play, the more likely they're going to uncover. So there's a lot of pressure that he's putting on the defense now, and they're doing a heck of a job being successful with it.
Nate, how much of what Troy Aikman was able to do for you guys in the 90s was about his ability to just command you guys as a huddle and command you guys as a leader? I mean, do you think that had an impact in terms of how he was able to execute things on the field?
Troy just had a stare,
He did.
I'll tell you the quick story if you got a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to kind of didn't go home at night if I had a good, lovely night that night. So I would sleep in my car, right? So one morning I was in my car and I was waking up. I heard his truck, and it was Troy. And he was on the phone, right, laughing, talking, having fun. I'm looking. I had never seen Troy just going off laughing early in the morning, just having fun. And he just continued to talk. And when right before he walked into the building, because I was about 5 or 10 yards behind him, just walking real slow. Right before he walked in the building, he closed his phone, and his face went blank. And I looked at him like, this dude has got a difference. It's a Troy outside of this building, and it's a Troy inside of this building.
It's a flip of a switch.
Yes. And and I'll give you a perfect example. How about them Cowboys? You see Emmett and Mike over there, and you saw Troy. That was him, man. That was our guy. Mike was our emotional guy. Troy was our doer.
Yeah.
And Tolbert said, he'll how you doing, Tolbert?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned there it was a special weekend this past weekend with the Detroit Lions coming down. It wasn't just a big victory for the Cowboys, but obviously there was a big celebration at halftime honoring Jimmy Johnson. When we come back, we'll talk about that, get some of Tony Tolbert's best stories from the Jimmy Johnson era. That's next on the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk.
Whether you're getting ready to...
Back to Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
At SWBC, customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. We are live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. This is Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm Bobby Belt from 105.3 The Fan. We're joined by Kyle Yeomans from DallasCowboys.com. Three-time Super Bowl champion and six-time Pro Bowler Nate Newton. And we're joined by our Cowboys legend this evening, former UTEP minor and former Pro Bowler Tony Tolbert. Tony, thank you for joining us. I was talking about it during the break a little bit. We had the news, obviously, at the beginning of the show. 7 Pro Bowlers for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Zach Martin, Micah Parsons, Deron Bland, Brian Anger, and then Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, the kick and the punter.
Yeah.
Don't get him.
Hey, the kicker's a lock. Brandon Aubrey is a lock, gentlemen.
Now, not a surprise necessarily.
Just a kicker.
Not a surprise necessarily.
Why do you hate kickers?
Hey,
Never be more than
come
a
on,
kicker.
Chris Bone, y'all won a Monday
Yeah,
Night Football
exactly.
game.
Yeah, we used to throw him a bone every now and then. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's
Brandon
just a
Aubrey's throwing you a bone right now
yes,
as a
he
team.
is. Yes, he
that's
is.
what's
He
happening.
is.
So one that's maybe not a surprise, just because of the way stat counting goes into a lot of this, is the fact that Demarcus Lawrence didn't make it. But Demarcus Lawrence is having a career year, and so I really wanted to get your thoughts as somebody who played that position. I mentioned the story last week from Dave Campo that Greg Ellis talked about the middle 8 and the last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half, how that was always such a critical time that Mike Zimmer and Dave Campo coached up for them. And Greg Ellis talked about a playoff game against the Giants where he was like, I need to make a play, make a stop. And he's like, we came up short, wasn't able to make the play. I felt like the game changed. I bring that up to say that I feel like Demarcus Lawrence this year has been the guy where every single drive where it's like somebody needs to make a play, he makes a play. He has come up so big in crucial moments, especially in the run game. He'll make a big stop in the run game on 3rd and short. I think there was a 4th down against Seattle. He had the big stop. Just talk about why Demarcus Lawrence's game and the position that he plays, a position he played so well, is so much more than just sack numbers.
Well, it's funny because I was in a situation where it was me, Charles, and Jeffcoat, and I was the guy that alternated with Jeffcoat. Charles stayed on the field the majority of the time. And sometimes you have to unfortunately, I didn't want to sacrifice, but you have to sacrifice your playing time for the betterment of the team. And he's a little later in his career. And the one thing you don't have those big, 15, 16 sacks like he used to have, but he's making plays, he's being disruptive, and he's doing little things that have changed the pace of the game, the outcomes of a lot of these games lately. And that's all you want to do. You want to keep impacting the game, VIA run, pass rush when you get an opportunity to. And he's cashing in on those opportunities and playing very, very well.
He's a hell of a setup man. I mean, he'll be that defensive end that'll bang down on a guard and just give you that just enough space for that tackle to come around free. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's doing whatever it takes to you notice that his money has dropped down, but I think he makes $10 million a year, but you see nobody groaning about that $10 million. Yeah, he's earning his keep.
And he's such a high IQ player, and he's a guy who I feel like plays with such great instincts. It's that intangible like you can't teach. He has such a natural feel for the game. Tony, at what stage of your career did you feel like, I know we talk about quarterbacks and how the processing is and how, a game slows down for them. A lot of them will say year 7, year 8. But, a lot of these defensive ends who come in the league now, it looks like it takes them 3-4 years to just learn how to use their hands a lot of times, that the hand usage is great. At what point in your career did you say, okay, this is all starting to come together, I'm starting to get a sense of, okay, formation, I can read this, I can do this. When did that all start to come together for you?
The funny thing about it, physically was my problem. I played linebacker, so we used to use our hands all the time because I was a stand-up linebacker. My problem was gaining the weight. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I was 228 pounds when I got drafted, and it took me 3 years to put on 30 pounds.
Wow, so his 219 earlier wasn't far off.
That was just a little off.
Yeah.
But and then get used to that because I had never carried that much weight. So it was kind of a reverse deal. And the good thing about it, I was in a different situation. Like Troy had to play immediately. I got a chance to sit behind Jeff Cole and Ed Too Tall Jones at the time. So they were very patient with my weight gain as well as just watching what they did and the impact of Jeff Coat, having an impact on me from teaching me how to watch film.
Right.
And so about my 3rd year, I could feel things coming. The fourth year with the addition of Charles, everything came together. And so I would say 3 years for me.
It's funny you mentioning the weight room habits and those habits in there. Whenever you talk to NFL scouts about guys, they'll say that one of the best people to talk to when you go on campus early on is go talk to the strength and conditioning coordinator first, because they're going to shoot you straight and they're going to tell you everything you need to know about work habits and things like that. How much of in terms of, we talk about that battle for you trying to put on that weight and become a consistent player, how much of that weight room discipline you think helped show the team exactly what type of a player you were and the type of football character you had?
Well, the three guys that have had the most impact on me from a football standpoint was my defensive coordinator. He moved me from I was stuck at the tackle range trying to play tackle at 210 pounds, and he moved me to outside linebacker. Him, number one. Then Dave Tobe, who's the special teams coach. He was the weightlifting coach at UTEP when I was down there. He taught me how to lift weights. And then my man Mike Warsick, when he came and he was hired, we were connected at the hip, and he took me to another level. So, those three guys had the biggest impact on my football career, to be honest.
How important is that? I mean, you talk about the strength room stuff, but I mean, when Nate talks about like guys like you and Charles Haley really helping to set the tone for him and help him level up his game, how important is it for other players to kind of set that tone? Like is that an area of weight room habits that needs to come from other players, learn that from other players rather than coming from a coaching staff edict or things like that?
It was kind of crazy because they were in transition. I think you guys went 4-12 or something like that. And I was on the 1-15 roster.
Yeah.
So when we were on the 1-15 roster, we were basically starting from scratch. And so as we were building and we were all young, the expectations around everything, Jimmy wouldn't let you just sit here and just coast. He would, every once in a while, he would just cut a guy out the blue, and we'd be sitting there looking at each other like, man,
better get in that weight room.
Man, what the heck is going on?
Richards.
Yeah, it was Curvin. It was a running back that I got drafted. He was from UNLV, and I remember we were running for the first time the 16-110s. He missed the last one. Jimmy cut him right in front of all of us. And I'm sitting there like, man, am I going to be able to make it? So you start questioning yourself, and you start thinking, I got to make sure I got to do what I'm supposed to do. And so that was a big part of it. But, the energy in the room, we didn't allow guys to just come in here and mess up our stuff. We knew right away if you was going to be one of them guys that was going to sit here and coast and talked all the time and didn't want to do what you wanted to do, that we needed you to do, we were trying to get you up out of here.
Nate, what's the stuff that, I mean, obviously there are some things that you would expect the coaching staff to be responsible for. Like when we talk about on field, like, little details and discipline, I think a lot of people go like, okay, that's a coaching thing. Like that's the thing that the coaches need to take that. Where do you think player leadership and responsibility, what areas of the Monday through Saturday grind or the game day grind come from, hey, that needs to be player leadership really setting the tone for guys?
You know what? The world was so different. And I tell people, we can stop with when the salary cap became what it was, all that coach and player, all that stuff went out the window. Now it comes down to you got to draft the right guy from the start. You got to draft a guy that care about football and care about winning. That's just the bottom line, because if you expect him for the guy that just got paid $150 million over 10 years to go talk to a dude who ain't making but $45,000 a year, that dude's making $45,000. He don't want to hear you, bro. And that's just how it is. These kids are built different, and it's about their money. Show them how to make plays, and they'll be about that money, but this working out and all of this got to come from within. That is why I think scouting is so much more difficult now, because you have to go find the right type of guy. And if you got that guy, then he can be led. But if you don't have that guy, I don't care what you do. It's not going to work.
And I'm going to add to that, like in our defensive line meeting room, we used to have this a fine deal. Like if you jumped offside, that was $5. If you missed a block, that was $5. A tackle, that was $5. Whatever you
messed up a game.
Yeah, if you messed up a game. If you got slaughtered and it looked real ugly on film, that was $10.
Yeah.
And what it did, it reinforced the things that we were trying to do.
Yes.
And it put pressure on you, because we're sitting here watching you, through practice as well as the game. And we're going to sit there and talk about you, to be honest. It didn't matter who it was, from Charles to myself to Shantae. There was an expectation like, look, when you walk in this room, we can joke, we can do what we need to do, but when we get on this field, we're going to prepare ourselves, we're going to take care of our business, and we're going to be the team that we need to be.
It kind of sounds like it was a fail-proof system. It failed. There were levels to it because you talked about the coaching and really the fear that was instilled, but not necessarily fear.
It was fear.
Okay, so it was a little bit of fear.
It was fear.
That was instilled in early on, and then you have the accountability, and then you have the within. Do you feel like, I mean, all of that falls under the umbrella of culture?
When a guy walks up to you and says, hey, man, I watch you on film. First 6 games, you look like an all-pro. Then I watch you the last 10 games, you look like trash. This is what I'm going to do for you. Now, this guy says, come with me and Tolbert, and I'm going to show you how to work out. Where his was weight gain and weightlifting, mine was conditioning and working on all these different machines. But how you going to tell a man who's willing to give up his time, no?
Yeah.
When he's going to do this
It's accountability.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we worked out. So it's about, can you get enough guys like Charles Haley who care about winning, Tony Tolbert who care about winning, to say, hey, Nate, you need to quit acting up and come on in this weight room.
Do you feel like they have those types of guys in that fail-proof system in here, just based off of what you've seen?
I don't know. I try not to get that close. Because a guy called me today, Mr. Wooten, John Wooten, who got contacts over there. He said, man, I want you to start working with the O-line. I told him no. Because he said, why? Because I'm not a cusser like I used to be. And I don't disrespect grown men. But it's not enough practice time to hone your skills. The players don't know they're crushing themselves. You may play longer, but you're not going to play at a high level. And I guess it's about making your money. That is all well. But don't you want to play at a high level a long time? Don't you want to be like Zach Martin for a long time?
Demarcus Lawrence?
Yeah, for a long time.
Yep.
And that's why scouting is so premium now. Getting the right guy. Getting close to the right guy. Like a bunch of 49ers or a bunch of Ravens.
Yeah.
When we come back, I promise we're going to get into some Jimmy Johnson stories. I promise we're going to let.
Well, you're getting to Jimmy right now.
I promise we're going to let Tony and Nate both weigh in on how they think it should go when a player is checking himself in and making himself eligible. We'll let them talk about that. That's next on the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk.
Back to Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. We are live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco for the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk. We got Kyle Yeomans from DallasCowboys.com.
Yes.
Nate Newton, and our Cowboys legend this evening is Tony Tolbert. Now, the Cowboys had a big victory over the Lions this past weekend on Saturday night, 20-19. It wasn't without some controversy, obviously, in terms of guys reporting eligible, throws on second down that stopped the clock late. A lot of different things come out of this game, but the biggest headline, of course, is the return of Jimmy Johnson. I know, Nate, that you were in attendance. You got to see a lot of your old teammates. My first question, are you surprised at all, Nate, that we didn't get a bigger tear-up moment from Jimmy? Jimmy controlled it. He held back the tears.
He just saved Jimmy. I mean, he tried to go into his soft mode, but it just didn't work long enough. Jimmy, man. He's a leader of men. I love Coach, man.
Tony, what was your what's some of your favorite stories or your moments that stand out from your time with Jimmy Johnson?
Well, there was a run, our second Super Bowl run, and we played Philadelphia, Minnesota, and I think the Jets within a 3-week period. And so we played Philadelphia. Randall Cunningham wasn't playing, and I remember losing contain. I got blasted one time, chip block, and the quarterback ran out the pocket and scored a touchdown, and Jimmy gave me this look, like, okay. And so we won the game. The next week we played Minnesota, and this is, pre-Charles and Jimmy conflict. And so the same thing happened. Another guy chip blocked me, lost contain. They scored a touchdown. Jimmy was hot. He got me to the sideline, and he got that lip gum, and he ripped me a new one. So I was like, okay. So the next week they took me off nickel. They put Leon on at defensive end. And so we were playing the Jets, and Leon went out there and lost contain, and I was standing next to Jimmy. And Jimmy looked at me, and I looked at him, and I did the smile. And he was like, oh, Shanghai, I can't get you in there. And he started doing his lip, and I just, we joked about it on the way back from New York, but that was one of the biggest deals that we've had. And to add to that, what was funny about it was me and Jimmy, we really didn't have a lot of conversations. But, like, when I would pass him, he would show me love, respect. Hey, man, I appreciate the way you playing, et cetera. And so, I got it. He would leave – to be honest, he would leave you alone if you was doing your thing. But every once in a while, he would poke you to make sure, you wasn't getting out of control.
Man. Yeah. Tony Tolbert, Jay Novacek, and probably one other guy where you never thought they spoke. But, but Jimmy, I'm serious. You would think him and Jay, man, he used to be so funny. He'll come to the locker room. He'll speak to everybody. He'll look at Jay. He'll just nod his head. He'll see Tolbert. But when they go around the corner, Jimmy gonna show you some love.
Yeah. That's what they thought about Nate, too. They were like, Nate never talks.
Like, you don't even know what Nate's voice sounds like.
Yeah, you knew what I sound like.
Now, Nate, I know you did get a chance to catch up with Jimmy and a lot of your former teammates. How cool was the experience on Saturday night, just seeing a bunch of the old guys? Was it kind of like a reunion?
Yes, man. And like I said, I did a lot of interviews, man. And they let them do it. They allowed me to be me, and we had fun.
I know Kyle's saying I need to go to DallasCowboys.com.
No, for real, it's on the Cowboys YouTube.
Yeah.
We just let Nate have a free roaming microphone with his teammates. It really is. They're all chopped up in the individual interviews. Nate did a great job, but it also shows the camaraderie of that group, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looked like you guys had not spent any time apart, and those were some guys that
I got every one of them numbered. I got every one of them. And the thing that is so amazing is Jimmy still treated me the same, Told. I just said to myself, everybody, how you doing? He asks about people, kids, how you doing? Oh, good to see you. Oh man, he loving on everybody. And we can say A on this channel.
I believe so, yeah.
And the first thing he saw me was, I said, Coach Johnson, what's up? Nate, good to see you. The first thing they told me to do when I saw you was to run your come on, Coach. You asked about everybody else's kids.
You're trying to put me through a conditioning test.
And I'm still like, no, I'm still getting talked to a lot. Wow. But
that
I love
just means he likes you. That's
what
it
yeah,
is.
Man. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing that makes that team special, like I tell you, I don't know if it's, good or bad, however you want to look at it or take it, but the man was focused. Mm-hmm. And he prepared. He had a plan for us. I remember after our first season, we was coming back off a road game, and he was on the plane and gave us a schedule of how the off season was going to be. And normally you just go up to the trainer, sign a little sheet of paper, and you out of there once you get off the plane. You don't have to come in the next day for physicals. Nah, Jimmy, like everybody's going there. We doing exit physicals. I'm going to give you the he gave us a little pre-deal, and then that Monday he told us, this is what's going to happen on this day, this day, this day, this day. And we was like, man, we don't get but a month off. A month off from the end of our season, which was no playoff, a month off. And we was back to work, bro.
You know, it's interesting. One of the things Jimmy talked about during his speech at halftime was he was talking about all the great assistant coaches that he had and the guys like that. And we obviously know a lot of those guys went on to have head coaching jobs and other opportunities. It was a really stacked group, not just with the coaching staff, future coaches on the actual defense. Ken Norton Jr. becomes the defensive coordinator. Ray Horton obviously had the I know the coaches have talked about famously him recognizing on the goal line stop in the first Super Bowl against Buffalo. He saw something and called it out. And so when you look at that group that you guys had as assistant coaches, who stood out to you guys as just some of the great assistant coaches you guys played with during that era of like, hey, that's somebody who really impacted me and made a difference on our football team?
Talking about while we was playing?
Yeah, during those Jimmy years, those 92,
you would have never
93.
thought that Ken Norton would be. Now, Ray Horton, you could see him as a coach. But you'd have never thought that Ken Norton would be a coach. And I'm going to tell you who was smart as a whip. That's James Washington.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's at UCLA
he is.
doing
He's
things.
doing something.
I mean, you name anybody that was connected to us, and whoever wanted to do TV, radio, coach, every one of these guys are doing a successful, great job.
Darryl, Mike, all of them.
Yeah, all of them, man. And so winning does that.
Kyle, have you had a chance to talk to James Washington before?
One time.
So James Washington is one of the greatest interviews you will ever
no
have.
doubt.
The guy. I remember
He's got so much emotion. It's just.
I remember
there's a lot.
Darren Woodson had told me the story one time about halftime of Super Bowl 28, where you guys were down at 13-6, I think, at halftime. And he said that, everybody was there, and he said James Washington looked over at him, and he said, y'all blankety blanks, get on my back. I got this. And he comes up, and he has the scoop and score the next time. And I know we've talked about that a little bit, Nate, the idea of having those dogs in the locker room and those guys who will step up. In this game against Detroit, did you at least feel like within the moment you saw a little bit more of that on defense this week? You saw Jordan Lewis come up, make a big play. Donovan Wilson set the tone. And Demarcus Lawrence obviously coming up with some huge stuff. That thing you've been calling for in recent weeks, do you think you saw a little bit more of it this week?
I saw enough of it to know this right here. We have an opportunity to have a home game. We have no fear at home. You do just win this game against Washington, and you're at home. And all this other stuff we've been talking about, the December run, this, that, being up, you are right where this is what Coach Johnson was so great at. If we would have had that bad of December, and it would have been, we'd have had a meeting the next day, and he would have cussed us out, and at the end of it, he would have said, you are right where you want to be. You can change history right now. That's all you got to do. You are right. They are right where they want to be.
Yep.
Come on, man. Man, please, man.
And I agree with him. It's such a big difference with them playing here and being on the road. Why not get home field advantage and use the crowd, your ability? You're at home. You play faster. You're in tune to what's going on the field. And the one thing that you notice about them, like especially defensively, you don't run wide on this team here because of the turf. They're completing passes down the field. The crowd gets into it. And once this team gets ahead here in Dallas, you're pretty much done.
Did you on any of the teams that you played on, you played from 89 to 97,
yes.
I believe it was. On any of the teams that you played on, did you guys feel like, man, there was a noticeable difference between how we played at home and on the road? Obviously, home is an advantage for everybody, you feel like. But was there ever a time where you felt like, man, this team, like, we just don't quite have the same mojo when we're on the road as we are at home?
No.
Nope.
No, we were just ignorant enough to give a
insult
damn.
us like that.
No.
Is that a mental thing? You just talked about it. There's no fear at home, but is it a mental thing with this team right now?
I think we had enough ignorant in a good way people that didn't give a damn where we played at. And so we were in the mindset. You just think I'm practicing against Larry Allen, Big E, Nate, Tui, James Washington's covering Novacek, Playmaker.
Come on, man.
Whoever, Kmart.
Yes.
And we going on the road. Practice is harder than playing in the game. We wasn't going to sit here and let you just punk us. When we lost our games, to be honest, it's because we went in the game and just blew it.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
We played a team that was equal.
And we didn't respect it.
And we didn't respect it.
We didn't respect it.
Yeah.
I remember Moose said something like that, but like he said, I think he said there was a game you guys lost to New Orleans or so. There was one game I can't remember, but he said like during our Super Bowl runs, he's like, oftentimes the games that we would lose, it's like you had no business losing that game. We didn't take them serious enough.
We would usually impose our will on a team, and that was the mindset we came in with, and that's the mindset we left with, to be honest. So that home road split, I didn't see it. Not with that bunch.
Well, when we come back, we're going to get tips from you guys then on how not to overlook a bad Washington team as you're looking to get this number 2 seed, and also get some of your favorite memories of over the years playing the Commanders. That is next here on the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk.
Clear.
Back to Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
At SWBC, customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. We are live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco for Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm Bobby Belt from 105 through the Fan, joined by Kyle Yeomans from DallasCowboys.com, Nate Newton, the 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion, and the other 3-time Super Bowl champion and Pro Bowler, Tony Tolbert, is our Cowboys legend this evening. And guys, they have the Washington Commanders this week. It's right there on a platter for them to take the number 2 seed. It's essentially win win the division, you get the number 2 seed. You don't have to see San Francisco potentially until the NFC title game. You can kind of lay it all out there before you. And we were talking about overlooking teams a little bit and how that was a struggle for you guys at times. Cowboys were accused of doing that maybe a little bit earlier this year against Arizona. What is the best way to guard against some of that this week for this Cowboys team, Tony?
Just knowing the goal at hand. If you win, you will have at least two home games here, and you'll be one game away from getting to your destination and everybody's goal. You will be one of those teams that get to one of your goals. So it's important that you start fast. And usually when you play teams at the end of the year that don't want to play, you can tell right away. Guys are, trying not to get hurt, etc. So you got to go out and make sure you give them no chance, because the longer they hang around, the more competitive the game. You're 1 or 2 plays away from losing the game.
Nate?
You know what, man? You said that over the years we lost, but never in situations like that.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Understand where you at and what's your goal and what is what if I walk out of there with a victory against the Washington Commanders, I got 2 home games. Bottom line. That's how you got to look at it. And there's no other way to look at it. If you don't understand that, and your stars have to play. So your stars have to play. So when we come down to the end of the game, and it is close, we've had no ignorant penalties. We've had no turnovers. And guess who win the game? A guy like Jalen Tolbert. Because they done tried to take out CeeDee Lamb. They done made sure that Jake Ferguson ain't get the ball. Now, hey, your boy sitting in the back of the end zone, Jalen Tolbert, for a touchdown.
Good
and we beat these dudes, man. We beat these dudes 24 to 21. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. But we ain't had no stupid penalties. And remember when Jimmy told us we went up to Green Bay, Milwaukee, wherever? Mm-hmm. He said, fellas, we going to beat this team. Play clean, no turnovers, and I don't care if we beat them by – and Irv Cross and Randy Gross was the announcers. They was they was enraged. But guess what? No bad penalties, no turnovers. We walk out of there, beat them. Mm-hmm. You are who you are.
It goes back to what you were talking about in the segment prior of if you don't like where you are, change it.
Thank you.
If you don't like where you are, change it. This is an opportunity for you to change it, at least in one setting. All year long, it's been Philadelphia, Philadelphia, Philadelphia. The NFC East is theirs.
Yes.
Now you have a chance to take it.
Yeah.
And it's sitting right there. I mean, if anything, you've already taken it. You just got to do one last thing, and that's win. Win the game, and you're done.
You're so right, Kyle. You're so right. That's why my name is Nathaniel Newton Jr., and I used to beat up Timmy Newton. Now, I can't beat up Timmy Newton. Now, Timmy Newton can beat me. That's my baby brother. But when we was growing up, I'm the big brother. I pounce on you, dog. And that's how Washington has always been second to the Cowboys. Don't change that. They believe it. They believe they second to us.
Did you ever beat up Tolbert in practice?
No, I do too mean, too wild. Dude wasn't quit. I mean, I had
too much going on there.
Yeah, I had 100 pounds on him. He still wouldn't quit.
He was putting you on the stair stepper and then beating you up in practice.
Yes, sir. Him and Charles.
Who was most likely to start a practice fight during y'all's time?
Kevin Gogan.
Yeah, I had a fight with Kevin Gogan.
Kevin Gogan, man.
Yeah.
But Gold would beat up rookies, like this rookie. Especially if you went into if we was at like OTs, they call them these days. We call it off-season training. That was just bottom line. We ain't had no shortcut words.
OTA.
We said the full word.
Yeah,
there were no acronyms.
Yeah, because we wasn't getting paid. They getting paid, so they put some acronyms
per word.
Yeah, but anyway, a guy would show out during those times, OTAs, and Kevin say, Nate, as soon as we get in pass, I'm going to twist his wig. You know what a twist wig meant for Kevin Gogan? Was he going to be fighting you, and all of a sudden he going to grab you, the headlock of your helmet was going to turn all the way around, and you'll be looking at the back of your helmet.
Is that how your fight started? What happened with you guys?
I don't even know. We were just, matter of fact, we were standing there, and next thing I know, he swung at me, and I'm like, well, hell, you ain't going to
it was going on. It was going on for a while.
Yeah, it was brewing.
Gogan had punked he had misused some dude.
Yeah.
Wrong word, sorry.
Yeah.
He had misused some dude and Tolbert like, man, that ain't cool, da-da-da. And he he looked at Tolbert like, what are you going to do? He swung at Tolbert. Next thing you know, they going at it.
We was going at it.
Whoa.
We was going in.
Whoa.
I'm sure everybody was surprised.
Yeah.
And then we lined up.
wouldn't.
Well, and then we lined up and was like nothing happened. It's like, okay, next play.
Next play.
So this is a big game, obviously, this week against the Commanders, like we referenced. During y'all's era, I mean, the Commanders have long been, a historic rival for the Cowboys. I know specifically for y'all's team, one of the things that history remembers about that 90s era Cowboys team is the coming out party of, oh, these kids have something.
Oh, yeah.
Was 91 RFK, 11-0 Washington. You get the Hail Mary to Alvin Harper at the end of the first half. You go in there, you really handle that football team, and everybody kind of takes notice and goes, oh, Cowboys might be here. What are y'all's memories from going into that game and preparing for that game? A game that a lot of the rest of the NFL said, nobody's got any business.
They won
beating
the
those
Super Bowl that year.
Yeah, they
right?
won
Yeah,
the
they
Super
won
Bowl.
it.
And that was the year
We
where
That was the
First
gorilla.
off.
That's to beat the gorilla. Throw to everything you got at the gorilla speech.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a we hung around and we made enough
Onside
plays.
kicks.
The onside. I mean, he was pulling everything out the hat. And then, Hart with the Hail Mary. Everything just came together that day. We played great offensively, defensively. And the thing about Washington at that time, and special teams, Washington was mowing over people. And we were fast enough. We were probably one of the only teams that were fast enough to give them fits defensively. We didn't turn the ball over, and we did our thing. And we walked out of there and was like,
Yeah.
we not too far from here.
Yeah, and you guys, I think after that game, I don't believe you guys lost a game the rest of the regular season. I think you went on a run all the way through to the end. I think you went 11-5 that year. That victory put you at 7-5. You guys go into Soldier Field. You beat a Bears team on the road, a veteran Bears team led by, I think Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback that day. And so you guys go in there, play a really tough game. Season obviously ends disappointingly the next week against Detroit, but when you guys looked at it,
Why did y'all quickness not help us against Barry?
We got slaughtered.
did
Barry
Jimmy,
was different.
I was going to say, did Jimmy do that bite the gum when Barry broke out of that tackle?
Do we have
Which was already done.
Do you have a few minutes? Just a few
You got a
minutes?
couple minutes. We
Look
got
at
about
here.
3 minutes.
We left that game, and we were all coaches and everybody. Remember, we was just, we here. We arrived. Oh, we was going off. Coaches was with us. The head, the assistant, all of them was right. We was talking. Jimmy walked through that door. What is that wrong with you? He went off on us for like 10 minutes. This is not how we do it. We are better than this. And then he gave us the little this is what we'll be doing. You get a month off, and this is what we'll be doing because we're better than this. He shot down the whole party.
Wow.
He shot down the whole. We are bigger than this. Yes.
I think he drafted like 30 DBs that year.
Yeah. I'm serious. The next year, I'm telling you, the DB
He said
problem.
this isn't happening again.
Oh, it was everybody.
Was it Pup?
Pup, Larry Brown, all of them.
Oh, no.
Hey, man, Jimmy, like we need offensive lineman, Kyle. And don't you be
don't
talking
look at
about
me.
nothing else.
Don't look at me. I've
We
been
need to
talking
dra-
about offensive linemen on draft coverage for
From the
3
second
years.
round all the way, everything should be
Keep
offensive
throwing
line.
the offensive line darts at him. But when that game ends against Detroit, you guys obviously had a bad result. But given what you had built on, did you guys have a sense of, hey, next year, like we're ready? Because I know the narrative, you go back and watch pregame shows from that 92 NFC Championship game, people talk about, oh, Dallas arrived a year earlier than we all thought. But did you guys have the confidence into that year of like, no, we're ready. We know what we've built here in 91?
You know what? To be honest, I didn't have any particular feeling. We just went in the beginning of the year and we beat I think we started off with the NFC East.
Right.
So we played all 4 of the other teams early in the year, and we went 3-1. And so we were already ahead of the game. I think we lost to Philadelphia on a Monday night, but we beat the Giants on the road. We beat Washington at home, and I believe Arizona on the road. And so we were 3-1 and ahead of everybody in the division. They still had to play. Like, I remember Washington complaining at the end of that year because they had the same schedule we had in the beginning of the year. And they thought it was unfair. But
Much
nobody
like
said,
this year.
Yeah. Nobody thought nothing about that when we were playing it. But we started off, and we won a lot of games early. And so we were allowed some slippage somewhere down in it. I think we were like 8-1 at the half point, or so, at the halfway point. And we took care of our business. And it was all new to us. Every week was a new experience for us.
Yes, it was.
So we didn't know any better, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, the opportunity to take care of business is right in front of the Cowboys this week with the Commanders. The number 2 seed, a chance for a couple of home playoff games is on the line. That does it for us here at the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk. Thank you to Kyle Yeomans from DallasCowboys.com, Nate Newton, and our Cowboys legend this evening, Tony Tolbert. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Cowboys and the Commanders this Sunday in Washington. We will talk to you guys again next week.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?